Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Dr. Hasi, and today's topic is BOT 2313 uh, module lab module 2. So this is the plant anatomy and development uh, lab module 2. So in this module 2, we have lab 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So there are 6 labs, 7 to 12, only the new material since the last test. Actually there is a little study guide, and also this video I'm going to go over some key points. Make sure you look at your PowerPoint slides. Um, so your drawings from the lab, and also the study guide, so to get so review for this lab test 2 coming up. Okay, so Uh, starting with lab number 7, as you see here in my screen, lab number 7 was a plant growing lab. Uh, so, so there are terms, vocabulary in every lab, including this lab, like annuals, biennials, perennials, variegated, two colors, pH, and some other like a what plant needs, right? What plants need? Four things, right? Water, warm temperature, light, and inorganic nutrients, right? Including these 17 nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, sulfur, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, um, zinc, iron, copper, molybdenum, manganese, chlorine, iodine, boron, nickel. So these two groups of major inorganic nutrients. So plant needs these because they're called essential. Essential also mean they they are required because plants cannot complete their life cycle without without really having these, and also they cannot be replaced with any other ones. And also, again, they are part of their life cycle. They cannot be replaced, and plants cannot synthesize them. So they have to be taken from outside. Light specifically very, very important because also it's required for photosynthesis as well. So I have questions here. There was a video, private life of plants, and you can actually see the questions on your PowerPoint about the video and the answers. So make sure that you are familiar with those questions and answers, like acacia, bracken fern, carnivorous plants, giant sequoias, begonias, which they can live actually in much little light conditions at the bottom of the forest. Every lab, including this lab, plant of the week, very, very important. Um, and which class and what's the scientific name? Um, and be familiar with indeterminate growth of the plants, and keep adding new leaf, root, and stem continuously. What's the tallest tree, oldest tree, and all that information. That's plant lab number 7, plant growing. Lab 8 was about leaf. Leaf is very, very important because obviously leaf is has several impact on many things plant do, including photosynthesis, which is the most important reaction on biosphere. So be familiar with the leaf morphology, leaf anatomy, like palisade, mesophyll, cuticle, spongy mesophyll, guard cells, stomata, margins, veins, petioles, tubules, blade, epidermis, upper epidermis, lower epidermis, xylem, phloem, and lamina. So just some of the vocabulary listed here, right? So leaf, very, very important. And if it is simple leaf versus compound leaf, right? So what kind of compound leaf? And so these are all important and some examples. And the Microsoft slides that you drew about leaf anatomy, two classes, monocut, dicut, and also the gymnosperm, like needle, pine needle leaf cross section, simple versus compound leaf, and leaf versus leaflet. Leaf is itself, but sometimes there are compound leaves. They don't have one piece, but they have several leaflets that all together they make one leaf. Um, Sessile leaves like corn, no pedial, leafless leaves like asparagus. Um, no, there is pedial, but the top part is missing, which is the blade is missing in this case. Monocut versus dicut, two classes we see in every lab, so very, very important. Plant of the week, here is Zamia integrifolia, and you'll be familiar with that. This is also a plant that's Florida native, so very, very important. Um, be familiar with some leaf anatomy is directly linked to photosynthesis type, like C3, C4, and CAM. So there won't be too many questions on photosynthesis reactions, but if the photosynthesis is related to leaf anatomy, plants evolve to, to, to improve their photosynthesis by also adapting and changing their leaf anatomy. Not just they just change the enzyme and locations, but they use different part of the leaf and also day and night, uh, so different timing in different photosynthesis types or groups. So lab number 9, which is plant surviving. We have also another video we have here and the questions and answers of this video. Basically, make sure that you're familiar with the questions and answers. Surviving episode again from Private Life of Plants. Uh, what plant needs, we already seen it, but it's also important here: water, nutrients, temperature, and light. Plant of the week here. Um, Make sure you familiar with that. Be familiar with abiotic stress, different stresses. Abiotic means non-living, right? Like high salt, pollution, low water, high water, high temperature, low temperature, and etc. And tolerance to these stress conditions. Up number 10 is about flowering. Flowering basically, flower is one of the latest um, organs that evolve in plants, and more like 100 last 145 million years. So you need to be familiar with parts of flower, SPSC, right? Sepal, petal, stamen, carpel. Make sure you know which is which, and their single and plural names. Where are the pollens? Pollen grain, very, very important. There is a little video and question answers here. Simple versus compound flowers, also fruit types, monocut versus dicut flower anatomy, flower type, fruit type, um, like tomato is a berry, apple is a pome, peach is a drupe in terms of botanical fruit types. And there are compound fruit types like aggregates, many carpels versus multiple flower like pineapple. Plant of the week here. Um, Again, important parts of flower, monoecious. Also, if the flower has all the organs like perfect or is imperfect, it's monoecious, or dioecious, which is in a two separate organisms like ginkgos, which is not flower, but in like pistachios or kiwis maybe. Okay. Mega and microgametified, very, very, very important. So make sure you know what is megagametified, how many cells are there, how many nuclei, what is microgametified, like pollen grains, how many cells, and very, very important. And then the function of a flower color, right? If what does that mean if it is orange color petals versus white petals? So orange is more likely a bird pollinated, but white or yellow or blue more likely bee pollinated. So the next lab is lab 11, which is secondary growth. Secondary growth obviously is a select plants feature. That means only perennial dicots have that. It's called secondary because we already learned primary growth so far in every lab. This is a unique one which uses two cambiums, cork cambium, vascular cambium, and produces bark, secondary phloem, secondary xylem, again ray, annual rings, phylloderm, cork, springwood, summerwood. So make sure you be familiar with these. The two cambiums, three types of cuts: transfer, radial, tangential. Make sure study these. Anatomy of secondary growth, the plan of the week here, weeks 11, and also the most famous plant for making corks. Also, if you're with the die cut, which with die cut perennial plants, which shows secondary growth. Lab number 12 is the last lab in this module, which is plant identification. Basically, there are 10 plants here. We have to know 10 specific plants in this lab to identify them. You can look at leaf shape, type, needle, position, perennial, grass, or climbing, or fern, or some other features to identify a plant. Again, there are 10 plant species covered specifically in this lab. You need to know their scientific name and class. Center of origin, which is basically like potato, it will be Peru. Um, that means if you're looking for wild relatives of a specific plant species like potato, it's best probably to go visit their center of origin, like Peru. But there are also native plants in Florida. Native plant means 500 years they've been here. Examia is one of our native plants. Basic taxonomy of plants, binomial names, be familiar, annual, biennial, perennial, and also plant of the week here, Magnolia grandiflora, and its class dicot. So just to recap, this is module 2 in BOT 2313 plant anatomy and development lab, which is basically in this module there are lab 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So please feel free to comment, like, and subscribe. See you in next video. Happy studying.